My ex divorced me and now wants to be together again after 4 years. I 46 female and my ex-husband 45 male were college sweethearts and married at 26. Right before we got married, I gave birth to a beautiful daughter who's now 21 years old. I loved both of them dearly, and we've been a happy family for about 16 years before everything went down. Our only problem was my ex's mother. She always had a strong dislike for me. She never thought I was good enough for her baby boy. We had many fights, and my ex cut contact with her after the wedding when she tried wearing white to it. We had many encounters with her years after that, sending us gifts for my daughter and purposely trying to get us to contact her again to seeing her outside our house. 4 years ago, I got home from work to see my ex and his mom together on the couch. My ex was on the verge of tears, yelling and calling me a cheater. I tried to explain I didn't, but his mother supposedly had proof, saying she saw me with another man out in a restaurant together. I'm very faithful and loyal, but he refused to hear me out. We got into a big argument before he packed up and left to stay with his mother. When my daughter got home from a friend's house, she too started to blame me when she found out from her dad. She went to live with her dad while he sent out divorce papers. It took about a year before it was finalized. He got custody of her, and I was granted visitation rights, but she never wanted to see me. It took a long time to move on. I sought therapy and fell into a huge depression. I knew my ex's mother made it up to tears us apart. I can't believe he listened to her so carelessly. I don't blame my daughter, but it still hurts. I moved out of the house to allow my ex and my daughter to live there. I ended up moving to a small apartment. It's been 4 years, and I started to finally be happy again. I made new friends. We had so much fun and I got a promotion at work. I still missed my family, my daughter, but I couldn't do anything about it. 2 days ago, my daughter called me. It's been 4 years since I've last seen or heard from her. She said that my ex's mother admitted to lying. She said that my ex got a new girlfriend and his mother was furious, claiming he shouldn't have one after all the trouble she did to get rid of me. They got into a heated fight before he kicked his mom out. I nearly wanted to cry. I thought she would never admit it. And now I'm hearing my daughter. She asked to meet up and apologized so many times. I told her we could meet tomorrow. Yesterday, I met her at a restaurant, but she brought along my ex, something she never mentioned, nor have I agreed upon. He was apologizing, saying how much he missed me and that he dumped his girlfriend. He wanted us to be together. Again, I excused myself and left them there. I got back home to lots of phone calls from my daughter and text messages from her. She wanted us to talk, and she called me an asshole for leaving. I told her I wasn't comfortable and that she needed to understand. I had to mute my phone and put it down for a bit. I haven't responded yet, and I'm not sure what to do. I love her, but I can't talk to her with him there. Not yet anyways. It feels so fast. I wanted to do it one-on-one. I'm deeply hurt and crying as I'm typing this. I don't know what to do. Today I messed up. I thought a cute guy was ghosting me, only to find out I was actually ghosting him. I was at a party 2 weeks ago, where I only knew 2 people, when in walks this guy who immediately gave me this really big smile and I thought he was so gorgeous. We ended up talking in the same circle and he introduces himself. We start chatting and quickly find the circle around us has disappeared and it is just us. He is so smart, his smile is outrageously cute, and I love how he seems laser focused on me instead of one of the many attractive women that have now joined the party and are talking about their cool Raya dates. As the night wore on, I found myself talking to various different groups, but each time this guy would appear again and we'd end up just talking to each other again. Someone who neither of us knew came up and said we made an attractive couple, and I realized somehow in the span of 2 hours we were already acting like a couple. It wasn't just being intimately attracted to him, I felt so comfortable around him, he was so attentive to my needs. I told him offhand I had allergies to the dog at the party. Hours later when I started sneezing he immediately knew why and moved us outside. His smile was the thing that immediately caught my attention, but it was the thoughtfulness that made it so. At the end of the night, we catch an Uber home together and end up kissing. Before the Uber drops him off I give him my number. Sunday comes, don't hear from him. Okay, I get it. We both got home at 4 a.m. and I too just want to sleep the day away. Monday comes, silence. Tuesday, even more silence. I know I've read how it is, uncool, to text a girl immediately because you want to seem super cool and wanted, but we're both in our mid-30s and, I hoped, realize these mind games are bull crap. If you like someone, text them when you can. Life is too short to be with people half interested in you. Wednesday comes and I'm a mixture of angry and over it and insecure all at the same time. How dare he lead me on like this? Well, I guess I'm glad I only wasted one night on this jerk. Was I not pretty enough? All these thoughts raced through my head and coalesced into me typing his name and workplace into Google to see if I can find him. Turns out, he was incredibly easy to find. I was planning on just looking at him because I missed his face, but I accidentally clicked the link that brought me to his LinkedIn page. Yikes, now he'll know that I stalked him, which made me feel even worse. I probably looked crazy. Failed. Since I was already on his page I guess I'd look at where he had worked. Maybe he wasn't really interesting and I'd feel better about him ghosting me. Nope, turns out he is not only very smart but also humble because his resume listed a dozen different cool jobs, impressive schools he's attended, things he's worked on. Great. I probably wasn't impressive enough for him. Not 30 minutes later he friends me on LinkedIn, but seemed surprised that I was reaching out. He had evidently texted me that night, and again the next day, only to not hear anything back. I had ghosted him. And this is how we found out my mess up. When I gave him my number, turns out I was off by a digit. Turns out, tipsy me isn't so great at typing or proofreading. If I hadn't been a creepy LinkedIn stalker, it could have been months, if ever, before we would have seen each other again. Right now we're laughing about it and setting up our first real date. Wish me luck, Reddit.
My ex-wife wants me to be with her in her last days. Backstory: I met my ex when we were both 10. She is, my twin sister's best friend, so we've always been kind of a trio growing up. We started dating at 14 and got married at 23. Things got ugly though, because 5 years after getting married, she told me she had a month-long affair with her coworker. Apparently the guilt was too much for her, so she confessed. We tried to work through it, but after a few months of trying, I knew that despite the fact that I loved her, I couldn't trust her anymore. She told me she still loved me and that she'd wait for me and prove that I was the only one. I wanted to believe her, but some things just can't be fixed. We never had kids. 3 years after the divorce, I met my now wife, 38 female, and we got married 2 years after dating. She's everything I could ever dream of in a wife and more. My ex, as my sister told me, they're still besties, never really recovered. She quit her job and is now working in a church. Throughout my relationship with my wife, she kept trying to get back together, and on the day of my wedding, she told me she still loved me and would love no one else. She said this was the last time she would bother me, but that she'll wait for however long it took. Apparently she's honest in that regard, at least because my sister says she's never been with anyone since. So here's what happened recently. My wife and I, married for 7 years now, have 2 kids, 7 female, and 3 male. My sister came over with her own kids so the cousins could play. While my wife was out to pick up lunch, my sister sat me down and told me the situation about my ex. Apparently, she only has less than 6 months to live. She refused treatment and wants to live the last few months to the fullest. One thing on her bucket list though was that she wanted to feel like my wife again. No lovemaking, no kissing. She just wanted me to be around the house. She still lives in the house we lived in, again, and maybe hold her from time to time. I told her I wouldn't do that, because that was pretty much emotionally cheating. My sister kept arguing and begging me to at least see her and hear her out. We kept arguing, no screaming. The kids were in the next room with her older daughter, till my wife came back. My sister told her the whole story, and while she looked upset, she said she understood where my ex was coming from. When my sister left, my wife and I talked about it. My wife knows everything that happened in the past with my ex. She says while she isn't thrilled about the idea, she won't get upset if I decided to see her on a regular basis. My wife is literally the best thing that ever happened to me, and I love her more than anyone. She makes me happier than I've ever been in my life. Even in the good times with my ex, she knows I won't cheat. I also have zero romantic feelings for my ex, so there's nothing lingering there. I don't hate her or anything. It's just that the love I had for her has long since died. After thinking about it for a while, I'm honestly 50-50 about it. I know I don't owe her anything, but I feel like I might regret not seeing her at least one more time, since the last time I saw her was on my wedding day, and that wasn't a good encounter for either of us. Unless you count the times I occasionally see her in the store or something, I honestly feel like, despite what she did, she still deserves to go with some peace. On the other hand, I'm not entirely sure if this might potentially affect our marriage. My wife says she's okay with it, and I believe her, but I just can't be sure that she'll feel the same way after it happens. I don't want anything to jeopardize what I have right now. No matter what, I'm not too thrilled about going myself, to be honest. Any advice? What should I do? Update: I recently found out that my older sister is actually my biological mother. Okay, so I first of all want to thank everyone for your honest replies. It really helped me to get my feelings straight and get ready to confront her. So after a week of avoiding, I came to her house with a picnic basket by surprise, so I'll have a chance to speak with her. She was happy to see me, and I told her to sit down because we need to talk. I started things with saying that I know that she has a secret that she's been hiding from me for years. Her face turned red and she started crying like heck. She knew what I was talking about. I told her the story about the DNA test, about Janet, and basically what I told you guys in the last post. Well, after she calmed down a bit, she told me the truth. She told me how she got drunk at a party and got with one of the jerks who does nothing but za every day. He didn't really care about a future kid and was like, yeah, whatever. Apparently she found out that 10 years ago he was unalived in prison. She told me how her mother used to convince her father to talk me out of the idea of keeping the baby. They would constantly fight with her. When the baby was born, they told her on the spot that she brought shame upon the family and they will not help raising the baby in any way, meaning she will have to work meanwhile to have money for her baby and sometimes for herself. After a couple of months of loaning from her friends and juggling between working and taking care of me, she had a huge fight with her parents and told them that if they are not helping financially and barely in any sort of way, she and me are better off without them. As they sent her to her room, she escaped in the middle of the night, hitchhiked to a neighboring country, and by morning she was there already. She tried to take care of me for a few days. She found an old abandoned house that used to have homeless people coming around every now and then, and she took me to the mall. When I started crying, she started crying too. The couple that adopted us immediately came to our aid and asked if we lost our mother. Rose jumped on the opportunity and came up with a story and an alias. Police figured out we are not in the system for multiple reasons. We were raised in foster care for a year and a half until the couple that helped us decided to make the effort and adopt us so we won't be separated. It took them a few months and a couple of lawyers, but they managed to adopt us both. Rose knew all along that her parents are looking for her. They came to their senses after a day or so. She reached out to them and told them in a letter that she is fine and is taking care of herself and me. She is not homeless and found a nice couple to help her with the baby. She made it clear for them that she is never coming back and they should stop looking. And a month after that they stopped. A few years later her father went on a quest to find her. She was after 18, secretly, After so much time searching he found her and apologized, and after a while she forgave him and kept secretly in touch with him. He met me a few times and I knew him as one of Rose's old friends from the park. He helped us a few times and apparently they would meet up once every 2 months secretly. Ironically, I'm glad I got to know him before he passed, even if I didn't know who he really is. By the way, the adoptive family never found out about the whole thing. So after hearing this I told her we missed a lot by not knowing she is my mother, and I told her I understand she did the right thing. I pulled out an "It's a Boy" sign from the picnic basket and some snacks for a late baby shower, and we hugged for an hour or so, had a lot of fun, watched a movie, and I headed off to my parents' adoptive house to have dinner with them. I'm glad she is my mother. I feel for the first time in years complete. I don't care she lied because she did it for the greater good, and I honestly can't imagine my life right now if she didn't. Thanks Reddit for helping me getting my feelings straight and helping me out mentally to cope with everything that happened.
My boyfriend violated the only boundary I ever gave him. This happened 4 days ago. Quick backstory. I'm 23 female and he's 26 male. We've been together a year and a half, known each other for 2, before we even started getting intimate. I made it extremely clear that he could never bust in me, and if he did then we would never be getting intimate ever again. I was on birth control in high school and my body reacted extremely poorly to it, and I will never go on it again. He told me that he was perfectly fine with being responsible for the birth control aspect. It's not even about getting pregnant. I just don't like the way it feels, physically and all the other ways. He also recently started a new job where he travels for work. When he got back to the house from work I was already there waiting for him. I've been staying at his place for the past couple weeks just to see him more since he's been working more. I was in the kitchen making dinner for the both of us like I always did since he started traveling. Candles, flowers, music, etc. He didn't even say hi to me. He just came on to me the second he saw me like I was a piece of meat. I thought he was being sweet, like there's nothing wrong with a kiss hello, but it wasn't that. He was being really aggressive and we hadn't even been kissing for 10 seconds before he flipped me around really harshly and did the deed. I'm not going into detail, but it was so aggressive and rough. I was so shocked by him being so aggressive because he's never ever like this ever. He's a really nerdy skinny guy. His apartment looks like a library. He's not ever dominant in, and I'm pretty sure he still had his card before I met him. Just to give an idea, that I didn't even ask if he used protection. I literally couldn't say anything because I didn't even know what was happening until it was over. I obviously felt that he busted in me and I turned around and asked him if he did and he just looked at me. I was still pretty freaked out and kinda scared honestly. I walked away from him to the bathroom to try and compose and clean myself up. I didn't want to be at his place anymore, and I also wanted to go pick up a Plan B from the drugstore as soon as possible. When I was leaving he kept apologizing and saying he was sorry and he's just tired and he just missed me and all this stuff, and kept begging me not to leave and to hear him out and all this stuff, and I was crying at this point because I was still confused on what just happened. He was literally standing at the door blocking me from leaving, saying he was sorry and he didn't mean to and all this. I ended up leaving and taking care of my stuff, but I haven't been back there or spoken to him since. He's calling and texting me every second of the day saying he's sorry. And I hate that. I really do believe he's sorry. He's the sweetest person ever and he's never aggressive or anything like he just was, and I'm just so hurt by everything. I literally gave him one single boundary and the rest was free game, and he couldn't even do that. And it's not even like he didn't understand because I physically could not have made it more clear that I am not okay with what he did. Not only that, but I spent all this time setting up a cute dinner date for us since we hadn't seen each other in a couple days and didn't even get to finish it. I don't even know if I want to reply to him ever because I still feel so disgusting and violated. I just feel really bad for ignoring him because I really do believe that he's sorry, but I feel like I shouldn't, and the thought of seeing him again makes me feel queasy.
I'm happy that I walked in on my husband making love with his partner. So about a year ago my husband, Matthew, 39, stated that he wanted us to open our marriage. His reasoning was that he was no longer intimately attracted to me and couldn't get off because I'm too loose. He didn't want us to get a divorce because he still loved me. He insisted that we continue being a happy couple that did not act intimate with one another. We would have our intimate needs met by someone who we would and could consider to be our other partner. I was initially hurt by this because when he explained his reasoning he didn't miss a beat when insulting me. I was no longer attractive to him because I aged. I'm currently 34. I agreed to the open marriage because I love him and didn't want to lose him. A brief set of the rules that we agreed on: once we find a partner, we have to introduce our partners to each other. My husband introduces his partner to me and vice versa. We can make love with other people, but in order for it to be considered okay, we'll have to tell each other about it. If in an intimate with someone, we must get tested regularly. We don't make love with our partner in our home. We can build emotional relationships with someone, but can't be taken as far as love. We show our partners the rules and explain our boundaries. We do not call our partners pet names. My husband and I must come home to each other every night, sleep in the same bed, wake up together, etc. Typical marriage, just without love making. We have more rules, but I just wanted to state the main ones. A couple weeks after Matthew insisted we open our marriage, he brought home his partner Jamie, 24. Jamie is so pretty. He looks like an angel, a fresh-faced, beautiful boy, with the uttermost perfect smile, the literal definition of youth. I had never been more intimidated in my life. The introduction was so embarrassing. I had no idea what to say and I just wanted to cry. I literally witnessed my husband's type change in front of my eyes. Jamie and I are complete opposites, physically and personality-wise. Now onto the story. Yesterday I came home on my lunch break to take a quick nap before returning to work and came home to find my husband and Jamie in our bed. I was shocked and didn't really know what to do, so I just left and went back to work. I honestly wasn't even tired anymore. As I was walking into work, I saw that I was being bombarded with texts and calls from them both, so I just turned my phone off. I got out of work around 9 p.m. But I didn't want to go home. I went to a movie and just drove around after. I fell asleep on the side of the road and returned home at 8 a.m. this morning to get ready for work. When I walked in, I saw Matthew and Jamie at the table. Jamie looked sad while Matthew looked pissed. I told them good morning and went and got ready for work. Matthew followed me yelling, saying that what I did was wrong and my reaction was compelled, uncalled for. He told me I was being overdramatic and had him up all night worried because I wanted to act like a child. I don't know what came over me, but I stopped him mid-sentence and asked for a divorce. You don't love me anymore and I don't want to love you. I'm so lonely and I never had anyone nitpick my appearance more than you. If you aren't intimately attracted to me, then marry someone you are attracted to. I want a divorce. He looked shocked and told me that I didn't know what I was saying and that I was just tired. When he tried walking me to the bed, I really got mad. I smacked his hand away and left again. This was a breakthrough for me. I usually let people walk all over me, but I didn't let him do it again today. I didn't want the open marriage and I don't want someone who puts me second.